Good morning. Welcome to Courageous Conversations. I want to wait for a few people to come on because I want to talk about this important topic of stop the madness of self-loathing. I think it's super pervasive. I myself recognize that those aspects within myself at times, and I work on it. And it's something that you have to work on. You have to troubleshoot. You have to be very conscious of the feelings as they show up. Hey, Julia, nice to see you. And when they do show up, there are ways to start to neutralize them because there's no way around the mountain. You've got to kind of get in there and troubleshoot them. Let me just do a little sharing so that we have folks on the journey with us. And if you're here, let us know you're here as well so that I could say hey and you could say hey, and I know that you're a part of the journey with me. This is pretty pervasive. I think it's a ubiquitous topic for so many people, and so I want to make sure that as many people as possible get to hear about what we are talking about here today. Okay, almost there. Just doing a little bit more sharing as you as we get deeply into the topic. Okay. So welcome to those who are showing up and are participating, because today we talk about stop the madness of self-loathing. Because the truth of the matter is that, you know, you were born wonderful, you were born great. You were born, but we don't all know that. And you know, family of origin really I think that one of the places it begins is we get a messaging that we're not enough in family of origin, that, you know, that even if it wasn't directly said, you're not enough, possibly parents are modeling the behavior of you're not enough. You have to perform to get my love. You have to perform to get my approval. All of these subtle and not so subtle messages will bring on the feeling of you're not enough. You just are not enough. You don't cut it just as you are. And it's sad. That's a sad messaging to children. I get very sad when I see it when parents are speaking to their kids in very shame-based, shaming ways, and overly critical, overly angry. I find that all promotes the feeling of you are not enough. You just as you are not enough, and you need to change in some way. And that's a very, I would say, destructive messaging to a child. But it's also, as we grow up, the parents no longer are the messengers. You yourself are the messenger of you are not enough. And no matter how confident you may appear on the outside, if there's an inner gremlin inside saying you are not enough, you know, like an inner sort of hidden self-loathing within, this is what I'm talking about today. And I just want to be very clear that there are ways out of that. People say to me, well, that's just the way I am. No, that's not just the way you are. Your brain is a dynamic machine that can be trained and can be changed and can be troubleshot and can be worked on, and it can be changed. And so I tell people, you know, I have a personality that I wouldn't be in an industry, the psychological industry, if I thought that this is how we are and we can't change. No. We can change. Absolutely, we can change. And the possibilities are, frankly, vast for change. So things that lead us, so family of origin is one. And it can be subtle messaging, and it can be overt messaging, angry households, parents that themselves are saying things like, you know, treating themselves badly. You know, when we watch a parent not being good to themselves, not self-caring, not having good self-care routines, these are messages that are tacit. These are sort of more subtle messaging of not enoughness, training the child to see themselves as not enough if the parent doesn't see themselves as enough. You know, a lot of people will learn about self-esteem simply by observing their parent, their mother, or their father. You know, someone will say, oh, my mother never looked after herself, or my mother always put herself last, or my father always said that, you know, people from this background are not worth much. So this is the subtle messaging that is coming in saying, well, you know, if you're this way, you're not good enough. If you're a woman, you're not good enough. If you're straight, you're not good enough. If you're gay, you're not good enough. If you're black, you're not good enough. If you're blonde, you're not good enough. So there's this messaging that shows up in the childhood. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing that I would say that causes people to have profound self-loathing, and it's I think something that happens just pervasively in modern society, where we want to have our goals met and we want to progress and we want to do good things for ourselves. But what happens is that you set up a goal that is inappropriate or unattainable in the timeline you've set up for yourself. And what happens is you don't achieve the goal that you've set up for yourself, and then self-criticism, self-judgment, shame of self-loathing happens. And so, I mean, I saw it the other day. I was speaking with a colleague of mine, and we were troubleshooting a case study, and the case study was a person who's looking after two infants, two little babies that they've had. And this is a person that was, before the children, a very professional person, busy, accomplished person. And the idea that this person got in their mind was that while the children are napping, I can develop a business plan. Well, you know, and then I will get this to the people, the investors, within 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And so it became a goal. 3 weeks, business plan while the kids are napping. Well, of course, children don't just nap, they get up, so the goal was not accomplished. And it's logical that the goal would not be accomplished in a 3-week timeline. It wasn't a reasonable timeline to begin with. There's a toddler and an infant napping, needing your attention, and, you know, so the goal is inappropriate. The goal is setting you up for failure at the outset. So when I see people doing goal setting that isn't, setting you up for success, this is where we have the germination of the seeds of self-loathing. The germination of the seeds of self-loathing are partly the not seeing the correct size of goal, timeline of goal, and also the correct trajectory that the goal setting needs to go on. So setting up this is the kind of stuff that I see people creating shame on and feeling bad about themselves. Years ago, I had a client who was just this great human that says, I'm going to tell everyone at my office that I'm not going to drink for the year of 20-something. I don't know, it was beginning of the 2000s. And I remember thinking, okay, you're setting yourself up for failure. You can do a month of no drinking, you can do whatever you want to do, but a year and commit that in public, I think is setting you up for failure and setting you up to feel shame and loathing. So inappropriate setting up of goals will set a person up for self-loathing and shaming. So go about the business of making sure that you troubleshoot the goals correctly, that you consult with people if you don't know how to set up a goal, and set up a true priority system. You know, the other day, I was talking with someone who's a parent, also this other human being, and saying, you know, well, how did our mothers of yesteryear used to do it? They could accomplish. I said, yeah, but they didn't have the career goals that you have. You know, when you have 2 children at home, little babies in their infant need every part of you, and your goal is to renovate, you know, do a business plan, clean your place, have everything look perfect, you know, have a party with 50 people in your house, and be an attentive mother, and not be tired, and sleep your appropriate amount of time, and not get sick. You're setting up yourself for failure, essentially, which will cause shame, which will cause self-loathing, and it's part of the journey that basically inappropriate goal setting. So I really want to caution people on inappropriate goal setting, because it is, as I said, the seeds for self-loathing and for essentially not setting your life up to be kind to yourself, to be gentle with yourself, to make friends with yourself, to understand that you matter and that you aren't on a race. And what's the hurry anyways? What's the hurry? You know, we're all on a journey. Take your time. Change the timeline. Redefine success. Redefine success. I say that the definition of success should be commensurate with the capabilities of the moment. So if your definition of success is, short timeline, accomplish a variety of things, I think you need to redefine what success actually is. I'm not saying, be so soft on yourself that you don't have a good definition of success. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, yes, have discipline, set up some good goals, but make it so that they're good goals, so that they're not goals that make you consistently feel badly about yourself. And I always say, break it down. Bite-sized goals are better goals. If you want to, number one, if you want to build your self-esteem from scratch, set up mini bite-sized goals and accomplish them. And then celebrate your win. Okay? And another deterrent from building your self-esteem is comparisons. Seeing what other people are doing. I mean, Facebook is a nightmare for that. You better get off Facebook if you can't train yourself to not be constantly involved with what other people are succeeding at. I mean, I have had to really give myself talking to, because people do that. Excuse me. People do that, oh, look at that person. Oh, they sold out that event. Oh, they did that. Oh, look at the life they're living. And, man, that's a bunch of bullshit you're telling yourself, I gotta tell you. There is so many possibilities when it comes to, I love the people that are joining me here today. Thank you so much. There are so many possibilities when it comes to your journey of going on your trajectory, on your goals, not looking to the side. And a wonderful mentor once told me, the best way to go about your life is like a horse with blinders on. Just go forward. Go forward, because as soon as you look to the side, you lose momentum. You lose power. You lose your ability to simply go toward your goals that are correct for you. And remember, I'm asking for appropriate goals, not inappropriate goals that set you up for failure. So the truth of the matter is that your journey toward what it is that you want, toward what it is that you need in your life. Hi, Marion. Nice to see you. I'm so glad you're here. What it is that you need in your life, whatever that may be, make sure that you're not comparing a bamboo to an oak tree. They couldn't be more different. Make sure you're not comparing yourself to whomever you see and what they're presenting on Facebook or on social media. And also, one thing that I want to say, don't compare what you see on the outside, because you don't know what's going on the inside. What's going on the inside is a private affair. So when you're looking at people's presentations, their outward presentations, you don't know what the journey is on the inside. I mean, people get obsessed. I mean, I have been there, and so I really know, and I see this in the office all the time, looking at the quote-unquote perfect life that they observe in other people, whether it be on social media or whether they look at the outside of their home and go, oh, look at their garden, they're so perfect. Oh my God, this is, Hi, Mauricio from Brazil. Nice to see you, and hi, Tamara. I can't tell you how often it is that I see people that I haven't seen in so many years. So when I see this, I think it's amazing. Thank you so much to join me on my courageous conversation. But people look at the garden. I mean, this one person I know is like, look at that garden. It's so perfectly done. It causes her shame because her garden is not as perfect as the other person. And then we later find out that this person with the perfect garden is going through a massive divorce, is, losing their house because of financial stuff. I'm not laughing at the person. I'm just saying there's an irony to this. And there's a ridiculosity about this. I made that word up. Ridiculosity. There's a ridiculousness about it. And so you've got to really, really understand, don't compare your insides with other people's outsides. Don't look to the side. Stay on your journey. And set up good quality goals, not inappropriate, with timelines that are not correct goals. Consult with someone who's good at goal setting to check to see if your goal is a good one, is an appropriate one, that's not going to set you up for self-loathing, shame of self, and descent of self-esteem. Remember that the process of goal setting has nothing whatsoever to do with other people. It has to do with the conditions of your life at the moment. And what's success for you is not necessarily success for someone else, and vice versa. And I know what I'm saying is get the ego out of your being, especially when you're goal setting. Get that ego out. Try and make your goals devoid of the ego and more just, I think 12-step has a wonderful phraseology, which is be in your humility, which is know your limitations. Know what you can and cannot do. Because here's the thing. Self-love comes from creating balance as well. Get the right amount of sleep. Self-care, treat yourself well. Because if you're accomplishing your goals, but your whole balance is off the rails, you're not going to be able to really be there to really enjoy the goals. You're going to feel, yeah, I accomplished that. Next. So there's no real relishing of life. There's simply, I got to question your motives for that goal. When I was talking to the person with the 2 kids and setting up, I said, what's the motive? Well, I want to appear like I can do it. And I get insulted when people think I can't do it. I'm like, well, what story are you telling yourself? What's the story that you're telling yourself? And is it an accurate story? Often it isn't an accurate story. So, number 1, redefine success. Number 2, change the timelines. These are ways to stop the madness of the self-loathing and stop the madness of the I'm not enough. Because here's the thing. Of course you're going to feel like you're not enough when you set up inappropriate goals. Of course. Because you're going to say, I don't have enough energy, stamina, time, whatever, to accomplish that goal. Because you've set yourself up for failure. So change the timeline. Maybe change the goal. Break it down. When I say change the timeline, I mean make it a longer timeline. When I say change the goal, break it down to a smaller goal. And also work on keeping your vision from looking at other people and comparing yourself to other people. Sometimes you just need to get off social media. If you can't do it, if you can't discipline your brain, get off social media because it can be very, very destructive. So really, really be the horse. Be the horse with the blinders. Anyone who's into horseback riding, I'm not, but I watch horses. I love horses. So just be that horse with blinders on. Don't look to the side because you lose momentum and energy when you start to look to the side. And the other thing is, and I will end on this shortly. Let me just see the time. Yes, perfect. You got to really get into self-forgiveness. You got to forgive yourself. And forgive yourself for setting up unrealistic goals. Forgive yourself for not accomplishing goals that have a timeline that don't give you a chance. Forgive yourself for not looking like the other person. Forgive yourself for being merciless upon yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Give yourself a break. Cut yourself some slack. And I'm not saying, be lazy. I'm just saying, cut yourself some slack. This is a short life, man. Let's enjoy it. Let's relish it. And Wendy Waddell says, grateful for your realistic motivation in the mornings. This is the story of the modern mama now. Thank you. Exactly, Wendy. I mean, I really got to tell you, mamas, listen, set up some realistic goals and don't be so demanding of yourself. And men, try to understand that we're not in a race. We're not in a competition. Self-care has got to be number 1. And set up some good quality goals. And you may not be able to do it because you yourself don't know what a good quality goal is, so consult with someone who does. And troubleshoot it with someone who understands balance. Not some coach that's like, you got to do it and you got to da-da-da-da-da. Fine, but realistic so that you can manage it. And be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. I hope this helped. And I hope that you are listening because I think that what I'm saying makes a lot of sense. And not only I think I just know because I work with so many people. So I want you to hear me because I think you'll feel better about yourself in the end. That is the goal. And I want you to also have a courageous conversation with yourself and with someone else at all moments of your life. Be honest with yourself. Be authentic with others. Be courageous. And I'll see you next week once again for Courageous Conversations. If you get a chance, like my page, Courageous Conversations, and also join my group, because this is where we kind of come together to try and troubleshoot courageous acts, and let's become a community. So that's the name of the group, Courageous Conversations. So, mwah, have a beautiful, beautiful day, and we will see you next week. I come at you again on Tuesday with another massive topic on courageous conversations. Take care. Big love, big hugs. Talk soon.